I want to try an experiment. Close your eyes for a second.
Okay.
I want you to conjure up a mental image of Waikiki. Not, the postcard version, but the real visceral experience of standing on Kalakaua Avenue. What do you see? What do you hear?
Oh, it's a sensory overload.
Right?
You've got the humidity, the smell of sunscreen and like waffle cones.
Yeah.
You have that wall of tour buses idling, street performers, ABC stores blasting island pop, and just people, thousands of them.
Exactly. It's a machine. On average, you're looking at 30,000 visitors arriving every single day. It's loud, it's chaotic, and it never, ever stops.
Until it did.
Until it did. The great pause. Now, keep your eyes closed to switch the slide. Delete the people. It's March 2020. I was looking at this photo from the source material, specifically this blog post by Haliʻa Private Tours.
Yeah.
And it just stopped me cold.
The one on Kalakaua.
Yeah. It's just gray asphalt, gray sky, and absolute emptiness. It looks like a movie set after everyone went home.
Eerie. And, silence in a city can sometimes feel peaceful. But in those images, that silence wasn't peaceful. It was heavy. It was the sound of an economic heart attack.
That is exactly what we're unpacking today. We're doing a deep dive into Hawaii's safe travels era, which is, roughly that window from 2020 to 2022.
Right.
And I want to be really clear about this. If you think we're just going to talk about vaccine cards and travel restrictions, you're missing the bigger picture here.
Yeah, because when you look at the sources we've pulled, the Halia tour logs, economic data, historical records, this isn't really a story about bureaucracy. It's a case study in two things: profound resilience and deep generational trauma.
And those two things feel like they shouldn't go together, but in Hawaii, they seem inseparable. And honestly, the history part of this deep dive, it just blew my mind. I think I finally understand why Hawaii reacted the way it did.
You really can't understand the shutdown of 2020 without understanding what happened in, say, 1820. But we'll get there.
Right.
We also have this incredible human story to cover a tour company that basically saw the world ending and said, okay, tourism is dead. How do we keep our neighbors from starving?
The Deliver We story. I love that part. Such a pivot. So let's start at the edge of the cliff. March 2020. The source material mentions a specific date, March 14th.
That was the day Haliʻa Private Tours ran their very last tour. And the atmosphere described in the source is so cinematic. It was a rainy, gray day. The news was tightening.
And then the order comes down.
Yeah, it wasn't a soft landing. It was a hard stop.
And for a place like Hawaii, a hard stop means something totally different than it does for, Kansas.
Oh, completely different. It's an island chain. It relies on planes landing to survive. There's no interstate to bring in commerce.
I mean, what is it? 1 in 5 jobs is tied to tourism?
1 in 5, yes. So when the governor says don't come, he isn't just pausing a sector. He is essentially unplugging the life support for the entire economy.
The numbers in the research are staggering. This isn't a recession. We're talking about unemployment spiking to 22% by April.
22%. That is Great Depression territory. And it happened in just a few weeks.
And the ripple effect, it's not just the hotel receptionist, right?
No.
It's so much deeper.
No, and that's what the sources really highlight. It's the musician at the hotel bar. It's the farmer who grows the lettuce for the resort. The mechanic who fixes the rental cars. The data shows that 25% of small businesses permanently closed.
They didn't just pause. They evaporated.
Gone.
There's a visual in the notes that really drove this home for me. It's a picture of a rusty chain link fence.
Oh, I know exactly the one you mean. Blocking the view of Diamond Head.
Yeah. Usually Diamond Head is the money shot. It's on every postcard.
Yeah.
And here it is, barred behind this rusty fence with a sign that just screams, Hawaii is closed.
It creates this visceral feeling of isolation. But, and here's the paradox that runs through this whole thing. While the human economy was collapsing, the environment was having a renaissance.
Nature's reset. This part was fascinating. The sources talk about Hanoma Bay.
Right. One of the most famous snorkeling spots on Earth. Usually it's so crowded you're kicking other people with your flippers.
The report says that during the shutdown, water clarity improved by over 40%.
40%. And the fish that had been scared off for years started coming back to the shallows.
Why? Just because the people were gone?
The noise was gone, the sunscreen oil slick was gone, the constant trampling of the reef stopped. It brings up this really uncomfortable tension,
Which forces you to ask.
Yeah.
Is the normal way we do tourism actually sustainable?
It's the central tension, isn't it? Economic survival versus, actual survival.
Which leads us to the big question. Why? Why was Hawaii willing to endure 22% unemployment? Why were the rules so much stricter there than almost anywhere else in the U.S.?
If you look at it just through a modern political lens, you'll never get the full answer. You have to look at it through a historical lens.
And not recent history. You mean going way back?
Way back. To the late 1700s?
This was the part of the research that really recontextualized everything for me. I think a lot of people on the mainland saw Hawaii's strict quarantine rules.
Like the arrests for leaving your hotel room.
Right, and they just thought, wow, they're being paranoid.
But it wasn't paranoia, it was muscle memory. The source material lays out a timeline of disease in Hawaii that is just, it's absolutely heartbreaking. This isn't about COVID, it's about a pattern.
It starts with Captain Cook's arrival, right?
It does. Contact with the West brought diseases like smallpox, measles, influenza. The native population had zero immunity. We are talking about a population collapse.
Monarchs themselves were falling.
Kamehameha the Great watched his own warriors die of foreign diseases. But then, look at the next generation. Kamehameha II and his queen. They traveled to London in 1824 on a diplomatic mission.
And they never make it home.
Measles, both of them. They died in a hotel in London. Imagine the psychological impact of that on a nation. And it didn't stop. Kamehameha III had to sign the first quarantine order during a smallpox outbreak. Kamehameha IV and Queen Emma founded Queen's Hospital, which is still the main hospital in Honolulu, specifically because they were watching their people vanish.
So every major institution, every major historical figure is defined by this fight against invisible enemies.
Exactly. Kamehameha V mandated vaccination. Queen Liliuokalani enforced travel restrictions. So you fast forward to 2020, when the government says, we are closing the borders to protect the people, that's not a new political idea.
It's an echo.
It's an echo of a royal decree from the 1800s. It's cultural defense.
There's a photo in the source stack of graffiti spray painted on a wall during the lockdown. It just says, protect our kupuna.
Kupuna means elders, right?
Yes. But in Hawaii, that word carries so much weight. It's the keepers of wisdom, the connection to ancestors. And practically speaking, Hawaii has the highest rate of multi-generational households in the country. Yeah. You have grandparents living with grandkids under one roof.
So the stakes are different.
Completely. If a tourist brings a virus to a hotel worker, that worker goes home and brings it straight to grandma.
Precisely. So that spray-painted message, protect our kupuna, that was the rallying cry. It was the community saying, we have lost our elders to disease before. We will not let it happen again, even if it costs us our jobs.
That is a powerful motivation.
Right.
But okay, let's be real. People still need to eat. You can have high ideals, but when the fridge is empty, panic sets in.
Right.
And this is where the story shifts to the ground level, to this case study we found of Haliʻa Private Tours.
The Deliver We story. And I love this because it shows the ingenuity born out of pure desperation.
So set the scene. You run a tour company.
Right.
Your revenue is zero. Your vans are just sitting there. What do?
Most people would furlough the staff and wait for a government loan. But Halia, they pivoted. They looked at their assets. We have vans. We have drivers. We have logistics software. And we have neighbors who are scared to go to the grocery store.
And they basically became a grocery logistics company overnight.
But look at who they were serving. They weren't just doing Uber Eats for the wealthy condos. They were targeting the vulnerable. They offered discounted deliveries for kupuna and frontline workers.
Yeah, free deliveries for ICU and ER workers.
That's the key. They weren't just trying to make a buck. They were trying to support the very healthcare system that was under siege.
The source mentions they were delivering specifically to the west side of Oahu. Why is that significant?
It's often underserved. It's further from the city, more working class, a higher native Hawaiian population. Getting supplies out there was a real challenge. These tour vans, which used to take tourists to see sights, were now literal lifelines, bringing food to these communities.
They also partnered with healthy mothers, healthy babies.
Right, delivering free meals to new moms well into 2021. The source explicitly says, what started as survival became a mission to serve our neighbors. It seems like that experience just fundamentally changed the DNA of the company.
It's a redefinition of hospitality, isn't it?
Yeah.
Usually hospitality means be nice to the tourist. Here, it meant take care of your own.
It meant we sink or swim together.
So they survived the shutdown. But then comes the reopening. And if anyone listening tried to travel to Hawaii in late 2020 or 2021, this wasn't just, okay, come on in.
No, it was the Safe Travels maze. October 2020. This is where the complexity ramped up to an insane level.
I remember the stories. The testing window was incredibly tight.
72 hours. That was the magic number. You had to get a negative test within 72 hours of your flight's departure. And it couldn't just be any test. It had to be from a trusted partner.
Right, if you just got one from your local pharmacy.
Denied. You were in a mandatory quarantine for 14 days in your hotel room, and they checked on you.
And the tech hurdles, the QR codes.
You had to upload everything. Trip details, health questionnaire, test results. You'd get this QR code, your golden ticket. You'd land in Honolulu and have to stand in these massive lines for temperature checks and code scanning.
It turned the airport into a fortress.
It did. And once you got out, the restrictions didn't stop. They had the tier system.
Oh, right, the capacity caps.
Restaurants at 50% capacity, then 25%, then closed again. There's another visual from the Halia blog that sums up this era perfectly. It's their tour gear layout.
Usually you'd expect Lay's, water bottles.
Instead, it's industrial-grade, ZEP antibacterial spray, infrared thermometers, and boxes of disposable masks right next to the normal tour supplies. It looks like a medical kit.
It feels clinical.
That was the price of admission. If you wanted to operate, you had to become a sanitation expert. Halia mentions they could keep running because they did private tours. They could create a bubble for a family. But even then,
They had to constantly reroute.
because the rules changed weekly. One week a trail is open, the next week the mayor shuts down all beach parks. Imagine trying to run a business like that.
It sounds exhausting. But the source notes something interesting about the guest experience.
There was a shared sense of caution, but also appreciation.
So let's bring it to the present. The source material gives us a hard stop on the restrictions. As of November 2022, the Safe Travels program is defunct.
The green light is back on. No testing, no vaccine cards, no quarantine. The blog post says simply, Hawaii is open.
But is it the same? You can't go through 2 years of that kind of trauma and economic collapse and community mobilization and not be changed.
No, the landscape is different. The normal isn't the old normal. The companies that survived, they're operating differently now.
They mentioned rebranding in the sources.
Yes. They didn't just go back to the old playbook. They added audio tours, different kinds of storytelling. But the biggest tell for me is the pricing. The source notes that when the doors reopened, a lot of competitors jacked up their prices.
Trying to recoup 2 years of losses in 2 months, which, from a business perspective, kind of makes sense.
Sure, if you're ruthless. But Halia kept their prices steady. Their value wasn't just in extracting maximum money from tourists, but in building a sustainable relationship. They saw themselves as part of the community ecosystem now.
It's fascinating how a crisis reveals character. We talk about resilience, but usually we mean bouncing back to where we were.
Yeah.
This feels like bouncing forward.
It does, but it also highlights a vulnerability that hasn't gone away. The program is over, but the reliance on tourism is still there. The memory of those empty streets is still fresh.
And they know that the environment prefers it when we aren't there.
Yeah.
That's a hard pill to swallow.
It is. The fish coming back proved our presence has a tangible cost.
So for the listener tuning in, maybe they're planning a trip, or maybe they just love the islands. What do we do with this information? We aren't saying don't go, right?
No, not at all. But I think this deep dive demands a shift in perspective. When you go to Hawaii, you aren't just visiting a resort. You are visiting a place that has fought, literally fought, for centuries to survive contact with the outside world.
So when you see a sign that asks you to respect a barrier or keep your distance from wildlife,
Don't just see it as a rule to annoy you. See the history behind it.
that context changes everything. It changes how you interact with the person checking you into the hotel. That person might have been driving a van full of groceries to the west side a year ago.
Exactly. The aloha spirit isn't a performance for you. It's the glue that held them together when the plane stopped. It's resilience wrapped in kindness.
It's a heavy takeaway, but a necessary one. We started with an image of silence, the empty streets. We're ending with noise returning, the crowds are back. But I hope, for everyone listening, the noise sounds a little different now.
It should sound a little more respectful, a little more aware.
Here is the thought I want to leave you with today. As a traveler, you have a footprint. We saw what happened when that footprint was lifted, the ocean healed, but we also saw the human cost. So, how does that change the way you step onto that island next time? Do you walk a little softer?
It's a question worth asking.
Thanks for diving in with us. We'll catch you on the next one.